Hi, this is Sally Terry, and I was loading a quilt the other day, and I got the quilt loaded on my long arm, and then I started doing the backing. And as I folded the backing and tried to find the center, I found it was cut so wonky and at an angle that I had to cut like 8 inches off one side, and then I cut 6 inches off the other end. So now I'm short. And I found a piece, and you can see the original backing is kind of a gold, and I found that bright yellow to put on it. So I pieced it with a horizontal seam so it would stay horizontal to my rollers on my long arm quilting machine. And so I was thrilled. And don't forget to add 8 inches to the length of your backing and 8 inches to the width when you measure your backing. And that's beyond the original quilt top dimensions. Here's a great illustration that shows where the seams in the backing have been wound around one another and they kind of build up. So you might have 30, 40 layers of little seam margins and backing fabric. If that's the case, it's going to create like little tucks and puckers. There aren't as many wraps around this little tube that I'm showing, but you can sure see how if you don't work that backing and make it really tight, your backing together is with the seam horizontal to your rollers. But then I thought, well, what happens as it rolls around the take-up roller as I'm machine quilting, and the seam where I pieced that extra piece of fabric on is like 1 inch from the actual bottom of the quilt. And I said, well, that's not going to work. And so when I laid it out and started to pin it, I took that smaller section that I pieced and I put it at the top, because if you're machine quilting and you get all the way down to the bottom of the quilt, there might be only 1 inch of that new fabric that you pieced on there. And if your machine does what mine does, sometimes the back is a little wonky anyway, and so that seam would actually be quite visible if it was not totally horizontal and straight across that backing. So word to the wise, when you are piecing on a backing, then just make sure when you load it that you load the shorter piece to the top. So I hope that helps. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you on the next video from Sally Terry Designs.